Today we're going to roll up an 18 Paladin, 2 Rogue, two-handed fighting build. If you're new to DDO, before you do this, you'll need to go to DDO.com, click on download, and then click on the register online link under the new to DDO section. You'll be prompted to register online and download the client. Once you download the client and pick your world, you'll be in this screen. And from here, we'll just click create to make our character. And even though it's 18 levels of Paladin and 2 levels of Rogue, we are going to start with the 2 levels of Rogue. The reason is that at level 1 you get 4 skill points instead of 1. So you get 4 times the amount of skill points you get in other levels. So it will make sense to take Rogue this level and max out our skill points. Once we're a Paladin, we'll get fewer skill points per level and it'll be more challenging, and we'll only be able to focus on a few skills. For path, we're going to pick Customize. These paths are great, but I think especially with a custom build like this, these paths don't necessarily work so good. We are going to pick Human. Human has the advantage of having an extra skill per level, and that's very helpful since once we switch to Paladin, we'll have fewer skills. Also, it has the ability, or it has the nice feature of having an extra feat. So for this reason, we're going to pick Human. Uh, Male and female, the look is strictly cosmetic. It doesn't matter which you pick here, you'll have the same stats, abilities, and skill options regardless of gender. All right, so this is a two-handed fighting build. So the primary stat is going to be strength, but because of this build we're making, there's a lot of stats that are important. The way that this game works, and D&D or for DDO Online, is that we start with eight for all of our stats, and as we add, you can see I'm at 28 build points. As I add, it goes down by one. This is true all the way up to 14. Once you get to 14 and go to 15, you'll see this is 22, and when I go to 15, it drops to 20. Once you get past 14, it goes up to it costs 2 points per uh, strength point. Once you get to 17, it costs 3 points per attribute point. So the sweet spot is really 14. Normally, Dex is important because your reflex save is based on dexterity. However, in this case, we are going to take a feat called Insightful Reflexes with our extra feat, human feat, and that'll use intelligence for our reflex save. So in this case, we're going to dump dexterity entirely. We're going to put 14 points to Constitution. We're going to put 14 points to Intelligence. We're going to put 14 points to Charisma, and we're going to put 2 points to Wisdom. So this will give us uh, maximize our points. We're only paying extra for one strength point. The reason we're going to 15 is because one of the first feats we want to take is two-handed fighting, and this will require a 15 strength. As we take more feats in the future, we'll lead up to a 17 strength. But every 4 levels, we'll get a uh, another another attribute increase, and so we'll put those attribute increases to strength. So this is going to be our starting build. I'll click next to go to the skills. And as you can see, since we're a rogue with a decent intelligence of 14, we have a lot of skill points, and 4 of these are from being human. So we have a lot of skill points to work with. Going forward, once we get to our paladin levels, we'll only have 5 skill points per level. So, and on top of that, the cross-class skills, which for paladin, which will be almost everything here, will cost 2 instead of 1. So we're gonna try to pick some things that could be useful to have 4 ranks in without maxing out. But to start, we're gonna start with our most important skills, which are disable and search, followed by spot, open lock, and then if we just try to fill it out, we'll go to balance. It's nice to have one social skill. The social skills are bluff, intimidate, diplomacy. Have one of those at 4 ranks. So we'll put bluff, we'll skip diplomacy, we'll skip intimidate. We'll put 4 ranks to haggle. We'll skip the stealth skills are hide, move silently, but since this build is going to be skill point deprived once we start taking paladin levels, it's not going to make sense to try to build the stealth build here. Same with intimidate. Intimidate is a typical paladin skill, but because we're limited on skill points, we're probably not going to be able to put points to intimidate. So we'll put some points to jump. We'll put some points to use magic device, concentration, tumble, and 2 points to or well, 2 points to heal. But since heal is a cross class skill, it costs 2 points, and the way that's represented in DDO is that each skill point gives you a half a point instead of a full point. So this is how we're going to allocate our skills for the first level. So I'm going to click next, and this is going to take me to my feat choices. The first feat I'm going to take is two-handed fighting. Initially as a rogue, we're going to use a quarterstaff. That won't be quite as good, but then once we're a paladin, we'll have choice of some other weapons, such as great sword and great axe. But even between rogue and paladin, there are some boosts for quarterstaffs that'll be available to us as well. But for now, I'm just going to take this two-handed fighting feat. Under defensive feats, they have one of the feats is insightful intelligence reflexes, which will let us use our intelligence modifier to reflex instead of dexterity. And this is great because we have a 14 intelligence and an 8 dexterity, so that's a difference of 3 to our saves. All right, so this next page will give us just a summary of what we've selected so far, and then we can customize our look. So I'll let you explore these options a little on your own, and I will just pick a look here that I normally go with. All right, and once you are done, you'll pick a name and alignment. Now, alignment is very important here because since we want to go 18 Paladin to Rogue, we need to keep Lawful Good as our alignment. If we choose any other alignment, we won't be able to take Paladin levels. So I'm going to go ahead and give my character his name and click Create. And now he's available. So I'm just going to press Enter to go to start the Grotto quest. All right, and usually I like to wait until I see Jeets talking. You'll see these pop up in the grotto. These give you hints. Okay, there he is. So you can use your arrow keys or WASD, which is very standard in games, to move character. And it's just telling you there's going to be a lot of hints. So you could look at them and then close them when you're ready. All right, so we are going to left click on Jeets. I'll let you explore that dialogue a little more when you run the grotto. And now we're going to just follow him so you can see the next objective we have is to obtain a weapon from Rogue, Jeets Shimmies. And so again, we'll left click to interact with him, and we'll take a quarterstaff. Now the next objective is to equip our weapon. So you can hit I or go to this menu and hit inventory, then drag this down here. And I'll just go ahead and if you want another hot bar, you could just click on that. It'll make a second hot bar for you. And so once we do that, we just click on this to equip it, and you can see it's equipped. And you don't hit friendly NPCs with this or other characters with your weapon. They're automatically immune. Then we'll just the next thing is to speak with him and find out what he wants. And he gives us the quest to walk. I'll let you explore this on your own, but again, it's just to walk up to the cave ahead. Now, one thing that's easy to overlook here is that there are a lot of crates barrels and other what are called breakables in the game. If you break these, sometimes they will yield some money items, or in this case, potions. And so any of these we get, we're going to keep because we start with zero money. So the only money we're going to have to start the game is this money we collect here. And the reason that's important is because we're starting with a quarterstaff here that if we scroll over it, if you look under the damage, we get -1. So it's a -1 weapon. It's a starter weapon. So we're going to use this money to buy a slightly upgraded weapon, one that doesn't have a -1, just a kind of generic, non-magical, basic quarterstaff, but it'll be +0 instead of +1. If we get lucky, we could possibly get lucky and something could drop for us, or we might get one with this NPC talk or NPC reward I'm going to show you after this quest. Then we could use that instead. And behind this kind of rock formation here, there's 4 up here that can be easily overlooked. All right, so we got quite a bit of money from that. Not a lot in terms of the game's main currency is platinum, and we didn't get any platinum, but we did get 13 gold. And the things that we need to buy are really relatively cheap, so that should be plenty. All right, now we're in the grotto, and we just follow the prompts up here. We'll speak to the cleric. Again, you can follow the prompts a little bit when you run it. And in this quest, you get this unusual protection from death spell, which basically means you can't die no matter what you do or what happens to you. So that's unusual because that's, normally a thing is you could die in a quest. But in this particular quest, they make it so that, it's a learning quest. They don't want to make it a bad experience, so they make it so that you cannot die. We are just going to, when you climb up a ladder, use the same skills, arrows, or the same keys, arrows, WASD, once you are on the ladder. And what I like to do here is kind of like slide down slowly. Whoop. So I take less damage. And of course, the tumble skill also helps with taking less damage. I have 2 ranks there, which isn't a lot, but it's some. All right. We just follow the objectives up here. It's giving me objective to use a lever. Normally, that wouldn't be objective. It would just be assumed that if you see a lever. Um, oh, and the tumble is you could hit. Let me go. Let me cover that later. So we need to follow these folks up here. And again, we get to a lever and it gives us an objective to use the lever. All right, and then we get into here, and this is going to be a very common mechanic where you'll see that this door behind us is going to close, and it's a trap or an ambush more accurately. So it's also another mechanic in this game is wave fights. This is a wave fight. There'll be multiple waves here, and so we'll defeat each wave as it comes down, and then the way you'll know the wave fight is over is that you get a different objective. All right, you can see the objective changed. It's now explore the chamber for a way out. All right, and so we'll just listen to the NPCs, and we see Rogue. The Rogue is going up to the door saying he can't pick it. Can anybody find a key? So we're going to look for a key, and they just unlatched this pool of water, which is a good clue that it's probably in here. And if we scroll around, if we swim around, sure enough, we find the key. We can then swim back up, and swimming um, works the same way. You could use a space bar to get kind of back up to the top. Other than that, it works the same way. All right, and then just click on the door to interact with it, and if you have the key, it will unlock it for you. If you don't, it will say doors locked or some message like that. This is a rest shrine. Rest shrines are common in quests. When you rest, it restores hit points based on the highest heal skill in the party. It restores spell points to full, and then it does things like restore stat damage and other types of remove certain bad effects that you might have encountered during the quests. In addition, if you have action, okay, Jeets is going to disable this trap for us, or he's going to give us tools rather to disable a trap ourselves. If we're a non-trapping class, then we would ask him to disable it, and he would just disable it for us. But since we're a trapping class, he gives us thieves tools, and we disable the trap ourselves. All right, now we get up to this gate, and you'll notice we don't get an objective to use the lever. It's just kind of assumed that we have to open the lever to pull that lever to actually make the objective meet the requirements of the objective. All right, this you'll notice this character was different than all the others we've encountered. It's red, and so red in this game means it's a boss. Orange means it's a little bit of a weaker type of boss. Red is the top, or purple is actually the top tier. Red and then orange for bosses. All right, we'll left click on this treasure chest to loot it. You can either loot things one at a time by clicking on them or dragging them to your inventory, or you could just click on loot all, which is what I will do. And I'm going to go ahead and equip this light armor they just gave me. It's not the best armor in the world, but it's not too terrible. And it's asking us to search here to meet this objective to find the secret door. So I'm going to go ahead and search. And I find the door, and then I left click. And non-rogues can also search. Only rogues can disable traps, but um, any character can search and spot. All right, last objective is to speak to the cleric. And the cleric gives us a choice of weapons. Now we're a crossbow build, there's no crossbows here, but since we're planning on taking Paladin at level 3 and we want to be a two-handed fighting build, this looks like the best weapon. So we're going to take this, and if we don't find something better by level 3, at least we can use this sort of starter weapon that they gave us. Now we'll just exit the quest. And we see that if you see a chalice above somebody's head, it means there's some objective there. So we're going to go ahead and do this. In this case, it's just this small, short tutorial about spirit binders. You can explore that dialogue more when you run it. And here's a chalice here. We'll get back to this. This is a chalice above this NPC's head because they're going to give us this quest that you see ahead. But before we do that, we're going to head out to the harbor and this is something that's not totally intuitive, but it's a way to get either a good item or if you don't like the items to get some gold. We're going to exit here, talk to this Valeria first mate. Um, this message looks a little scary, but we're going to click skip Korthos Island. We're not actually skipping it. We're just leaving temporarily. You can come back and run the quest even with that message. The message is just a little more ominous than it really should be. So we're just going to follow around this tall building here that we encountered, and we're going to see this two people hunched over by this guard. This probably isn't obvious, but if you interact with this guard, you get some skill checks. Um, Now, in this case, we already have a haggle of 5 because we took 4 skill points, and we have a 14 charisma, which gives us a +2 modifier because haggle is based on charisma. However, if you don't have that on a character, you could still do this, especially with a human, by clicking on enhancements. And then for human, you could take skill boost, then click on your character sheet, enhancement, drag the skill boost down here. And now if I click on this and I go back to my character sheet skills, you can see my haggle just jumped up to 10. That's because this skill boost gives me +4 to all my skills. So that's a way to get to this haggle check, even if you can't do it. Now this is pretty cool. I just got a chilled uh, deadly quarterstaff, which is way better than the moldy one we just had. So I'm going to go ahead and take this. Normally, what you might do is sell this item, but I'm going to lock it, and this is going to be my quarterstaff. Now, the bad thing there is normally we would get some money by selling this, uh, so we're not going to have that money, but we did pick up the loose change, and that's exactly why we picked up that loose change, is for just for this, just in case we wanted to keep the item, which we do, and we will be able to, you know, pay for a hireling and some other things with the change we collected. Okay, you're going to run into Baudry Cardamon at the end of that walkway. If you talk to him to get his quest, it's a level 2 quest, so we won't run it for a little while, but he'll give you a small collectible bag. What these bags do is that, you know, there's a lot of things that will drop in collectibles, ingredients, and gems. And they take up a lot of inventory space if you don't have a bag. And so these are sort of starter bags. You could buy others in game um, and run, you know, run things to get others in game without paying any money. Would just basically by playing, you know, playing normally in the game. But for now, we'll take these starter bags. They're pretty good for us to start. We'll talk to this person. He'll give us a ingredient bag, and then we just pass by somebody that gave a gem bag, and I'll show him again on the way back in case you missed it. If you double click on a bag, you can click auto gather. And then if you click on the bag and click on this lock symbol, this means it's locked, and then you can just move it to the back if you want it kind of out of the way. And I'm going to do that for each of these bags. All right. We'll just keep kind of going across here, this bridge. And kind of towards the dead end of this path, you'll get to a banker. And we will open up the bank. Left click on the banker to open up the bank. And you can see we don't have a shared bank. It's a free to play account. This is a premium feature. You have to buy this. We will eventually get this, but it's really not a priority. We don't have anything at the moment, so bank space is not as critical. But as you play the game, you'll quickly realize that it's nice to have bank space. But some will be able to get 2 more of these pouches in game. We'll be able to get 2 more of these inventory slots in game. So we'll be able to get more space from favor, and then we'll be able to the ones that say get now are through the DDO store, and uh, the way you buy things in the DDO store is you earn points in the game, and then you could spend them in the store. So you can get additional slots available within the DDO store as well. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to get space later. But for now, we'll just put this Lesser Heart of Wood. This is a respec uh, token effectively. And what this will let us do is once we unlock 32 point build, we could use this and respec our character and take advantage of the 32 points. As you might remember, we started out with 28 points, so now you have 4 extra points to allocate for more wisdom or more strength or whatever intelligence if we want more skills, whatever we think makes more sense at the time. Uh, that's the only thing I'm going to bank. I'm going to lock these. These are thieves' tools. Um, I'm going to lock them and throw them in the back. And now I'm going to head over to this vendor, um, see if there's anything I could sell or buy. All right, so I'm going to go to this. Well, we don't need to buy a melee weapon. We got this nice quarterstaff, so I'm going to go to this missile weapon vendor, and I'm going to see if I could buy a quiver. Well, I can't afford it, but at some point I want to come back here and buy a quiver. And the reason is that, much like a bag, a lot of times you get miscellaneous arrows and bolts, and you could store them there so they don't take up inventory space. The other thing I'm going to try to get is a backup quarterstaff, if I can afford it, which I can. It's just a copper. And the reason I'm doing that is that quarterstaves are notoriously easy to break. So here's the moldy one. That's at a -1, as you can see after the base. The damage is 1d6 -1. This is just 1d6, so it's a little bit better of a quarterstaff. So I'm going to lock this and put it here. And then we'll just go here and see if any of the stuff we can sell. Some of these starter items are not sellable, like this we'll move this to the back. This is not sellable, and we don't want it, so we're going to get rid of it. This we're going to keep in case we don't get um, a better axe or a greatsword later on. We could just equip this ring. It's a ring we got from the chest. Gives us water breathing. Might come in handy at some point. Um, Arrows and a bow. We can keep this just in case we ever need a ranged weapon for some reason. So we'll throw those in the back. These healing potions could come in useful. We'll lock these and throw these in the back. These starter rags we don't really need. We've already have some better armor, so we'll keep that. And we'll just throw the sword in the bag because we wouldn't need that until level 3 when we take our first Paladin level. We're not, as you can see, there's an orange bar on the bottom. We're not proficient in it. We get a -4 penalty to attack, and there's usually some other disadvantages like swing speed that go along with that as well. So we're going to open up our bank, put the sword here, and then we're going to either use it or delete it at level 3, depending on whether, what we get in the meantime. So now I'm going to head back to Korthos. This is a mailbox here. We don't have any mail. If you had any mail, you'd see a mail symbol right here. Instead, we see this symbol, which is kind of above where the mail symbol would be, and this is just a daily dice symbol. So if I click on daily dice, silver, we get one free silver roll a day. So whenever you see this symbol up, go to the silver tab and click roll. And you can see this was 0, now it changed to 3, meaning that if you want more rolls, you have to pay 3 astral shards, which we don't have, and even if we had, we wouldn't want to waste them on rolling the dice. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my inventory, use this experience stone, and we received 1,000 experience points for the grotto. We received 500 for talking to the guard and getting the item, and we received 100 for that, which is the minimum from those silver rolls, for a total of 1,600. So that's enough to get us a second rank. That'll be very helpful. Again, this was the person that gave us the ingredient bag, kind of walking backwards. These are level 2 quest givers. We're not quite ready for level 2 quest yet, but we'll be shortly. And then Fizpats, the fence, is who we talked to get the gem bag. And then Baudry is who we talked to get the collectible bag. So we're going to head back to Korthos now. and we're going to take a look at hirelings. So right now as a rogue, we don't really have the ability to self-heal. We have a couple of potions, but that could run out. They do have these hirelings, and if you're a healing class, typically you might take this barbarian who's pretty decent at level 1. If you need healing, you're going to take this cleric, which I'm going to do. I'm going to just take 2 of them. Looks like I could afford them. And then I'll be ready to go for a first quest. And so the last thing I'm going to mention before I start my first quest and end this video is that we have to get the quest. So let's talk to the person with the chalice. If I go to the quest, you can see that it's only available for me to run on normal. And as a new free-to-play player, you can only run the quests on normal, which is not really a disadvantage because you'll want to run those quests on normal to learn the quest before you run them on higher difficulties. Once you've run through what's called a life, which is all the quests to the top level, or not all the quests, but just basically you reach the top level, and then you what's called reincarnate. Then the next time you could run them on hard, and then the time after that you could run them on any difficulty you want. So it's a very temporary restriction, but a good one because you don't want to run in a higher difficulty anyways to start. Um, those higher difficulties uh, could be pretty tough for a new player, so it's good to learn it on a lower difficulty first, and then run it in a higher difficulty later. So that concludes this video. I am going to have a video for running through what I'll call level 1, which will just be a few quests, and then uh, all the way up until this character levels to 30. So there'll be a video series and also a forum post with this build and more details about this build on DDO.com on their forum, under classes, and under Paladin. Thank you very much.